You come home after years away, ready to walk on the land your family cherished for generations. But when you get there, it's gone. Not just changed, stolen. Someone built 35 luxury homes on your property. Your family's legacy erased. That's what happened to me. My name doesn't matter, but my story does. This is how I found out an HOA took everything I loved, and how I fought back by opening a dam and watching it all wash away. Let me take you back. This land wasn't just dirt. It was my grandparents' pride. They bought it in the 1950s, a quiet plot by a lake. We spent summers there. I can still hear my grandma's laugh as we fished by the water. My dad taught me how to plant a garden there. Every tree, every stone held a memory. There was this old oak where my grandpa carved our initials. It was our place, our history. I left town years ago. Work took me across the country. I trusted. The land was safe. It was in my name, after all. The deed was clear. Or so I thought. Then I got a call. A neighbor, an old friend of my dad's, sounded shaken. "You need to come back," he said. "They're building houses on your land." I didn't believe him. How could anyone build on my property? I drove out the next week. When I arrived, my heart sank. The garden was gone. The oak tree, chopped down. In its place were 35 shiny new homes. Big, expensive ones. Gated community. Signs everywhere. An HOA had taken over. They called it Lakeside Estates. My land. My family's land. Stolen. I was furious. I dug into it. The HOA claimed they bought the land legally. But I had the deed. It was in my name, passed down from my grandparents. I went to the county office. The records were a mess. Someone had filed papers saying the land was abandoned. Abandoned? I'd been paying taxes on it every year. I confronted the HOA board. They were smug. "Prove it's yours," they said. "We've got permits." I found out later they'd bribed a local official. Forged documents. Anything to get their hands on my lakefront property. They saw dollar signs, not my family's memories. Worst part? Under one of those houses was a spot I hadn't told anyone about. My mom's ashes. She passed when I was a kid. We scattered them under a willow tree by the lake. She loved that spot. It was her piece. Now it was under someone's driveway. I felt sick. Helpless. Like I'd failed her. I'd failed my whole family. Nights were sleepless. I'd lie awake, picturing those houses on my land. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tear them down with my bare hands. But I knew I needed a plan. Something bigger. Then I remembered the dam. My grandpa built it decades ago. It controlled a small reservoir on the edge of the property. It wasn't much, just a way to manage water for the garden and keep the lake steady. I hadn't thought about it in years. But it was still there, hidden in the woods, on my land. The HOA didn't know about it. They didn't care to check. They were too busy counting their profits. An idea started forming. A risky one. A crazy one. But it felt right. They took my land. I'd take it back. That's where the first part of my story ends. I was angry. Heartbroken. But I wasn't done. I had a weapon they didn't see coming. The dam. And I was ready to use it. I couldn't just open the dam without a plan. I had to be sure. I spent weeks researching. I hired a lawyer. She was tough. No nonsense. She dug into the HOA's paperwork. It was a goldmine of fraud. The sale they claimed? Bogus. The permits? Shady. My deed was still valid. The land was mine. But the HOA had deep pockets. They'd dragged this out in court for years. I didn't have that kind of money. Or time. Every day I saw those houses, I felt my mom's memory fading. I needed to act. The dam became my focus. I visited it late one night. It was old, rusted, but solid. Grandpa built things to last. The reservoir behind it was full. Years of rain had filled it up. If I opened the gates, the water would flow right toward those houses. They were built too close to the lake. The HOA hadn't done their homework. They didn't know the land like I did. I stood there, staring at the dam, my heart racing. Part of me was scared. What if I got caught? What if I went to jail? But another part, the louder part, felt alive. This was justice. This was for my family. That I talked to my lawyer first. She warned me. This could backfire, she said. You could lose everything. But she also said the HOA's case was weak. If I acted, I'd have the upper hand. I spent days planning. I checked the dam's controls. I studied the land's slope. The water would flood the lower lots first. Not enough to hurt anyone, just enough to ruin those houses. To send a message. I wasn't stealing. I was taking back what was mine. The night I did it, I barely slept. I drove to the dam at midnight. The air was cool. The lake was quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat. I turned the old valve. It groaned, then gave way. Water started to flow. First a trickle, then a rush. I stood there, watching it pour down. The hill. It was like the land itself was fighting back. I felt a weight lift off my chest. For the first time in months, I smiled. I didn't stay long. I didn't need to. The water would do the rest, BY morning, chaos. The lower houses were flooded. Water pooled in driveways. Basements were ruined. The HOA was in a panic. Homeowners were screaming at board members. I stayed away, but my neighbor sent me updates. They're losing their minds, he texted. I felt a surge of satisfaction. They thought they could steal from me. They were wrong. The HOA tried to sue. They claimed I sabotaged their property. But my lawyer was ready. She had the deed, the proof of their fraud, everything. The court sided with me. The land was mine. Always had been. The HOA's permits were revoked. The houses? Uninsurable. Unsellable. Some owners abandoned them. Others demanded refunds. The HOA went bankrupt trying to fight it. I didn't care. I got my land back. Standing on my property again felt like coming home. The houses were still there, half empty, water damaged. But the land was mine. I walked to where the willow tree used to be. I could almost feel my mom there. I kept my promise to her, to my family. I'd fought for what was ours. Looking back, I learned something. Greed makes people blind. The HOA thought they could take what wasn't theirs. They didn't. Expect someone to fight back. I did. And I won. If you've got a story like this, an HOA or someone else trying to take what's yours, drop it in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you like this story, hit that subscribe button. There's more where this came from. Never let anyone take what's rightfully yours. Fight for it. I did. And it felt so good.